The importance of the aviation industry in any country cannot be underestimated. In Nigeria, the industry has been growing slowly but steadily since the pre-colonial days to the present. However, in keeping with global trends, there are several challenges, such as in recent times, contaminated aviation fuel, forex scarcity, safety concerns, among others. These challenges constrain the ability of the service providers, airports, and other essential services to meet up with in the aviation industry, the increasing needs of customers. Now, Professor Obiora Okonkwo is the spokesperson of the Airline Operators of Nigeria. He doubles as the chairman of the United Nigerian Airlines. Professor Obiora Okonkwo is joining me live from our Abuja studios. Prof, it's good to see you. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Tolan. I'm glad to be with you here once more today.
Yes, I'm going to start this way, Prof. What really happened with regards to the issues around contaminated fueling? I saw you at that meeting in Abuja with your colleague, Mr. Oyema, speaking to the press after the discussion there. But how did we find ourselves at this point, at this time?
Yes, actually, what you read in the news is correct. There was an aircraft 737 belonging to one of the operators that some unusual quantity of water was discovered in the engine that led about malfunctioning of some critical components of the aircraft. But we thank God it did not just go beyond that. That actually had to also do with some proactive nature of the members of the maintenance team of the airline. Yes, the threat of contamination in fuel, aviation fuel, is real. And one of the contaminators in this case is water. There are usually procedures, safety procedures that must have to be observed. They are usually in two stages. The ground operation crew must have to test the water level in the engine before each flight, at least first flight of the day. And then on regular basis, before any refueling, the ground operation team of any airline should be able to check from the browser the water content of the fuel, if there is any, before even accepting it into the aircraft engine. These are usually safety precautions that are supposed to be contained in the manual, the safety manuals of each airline. So whereby that did not happen, then somebody must have neglected his responsibilities to do so. So we thank God that there was nothing worse than that. But however, this responsibility is not only domiciled with the operators. The fuel marketers are also supposed to be equipped with all the instruments required to test this fuel right from the point of accepting it, and even the tank that is storing this fuel. And that is why the tank is usually built in a way that, obviously, the truth and the fact of the matter is that there could always be water in the fuel. But the storage facility is supposed to give a room for that water to settle below. Then you take the fuel from the top. So if anybody was just being unnecessarily mischievous, and then chose to take both water and fuel to the browser before driving to the airport to fuel the aircraft, that's quite unfortunate. Then it could have been the fault of the vendor. So there are responsibilities of the operator to check for safety purpose, and also the vendor. Then you have the regulators. Regulators in this case, obviously, NNPC has a role to play, but for us, airline, we more or less rely more on what NCA can do for us in terms of regulating. So I am glad that that meeting you mentioned was NCA taking proactive nature quickly jumped into action, called all the stakeholders in the industry, the operators, the marketers, and even the fan and all that. And actually, they read the Riot Act. At the end of the day, an AOL was issued on the new procedures. And we are glad to hear that NCA should be more involved. They don't have to wait for the incidents to happen. They have decided to be part of that regulatory system right from the offshore, even at the first point of the fuel arrival before going to the vendor. So that's the situation. But I can assure you that the new breed operators in Nigeria, which we call ourselves, they do not joke with anything that has to do with safety. And I am also aware that as much as most of the operators have been very, very, very compliant in following these safety procedures in terms of refueling, each operator had also, because of this incident, done everything possible to raise the bar and fortify themselves more to avoid any issue. But we are hoping that the vendors that were found guilty of this at the end of the investigation, which NCA has constituted a committee to, should be properly cautioned and necessary punishment put on them so that it should be a deterrent to others who may either be negligent or may a kind of be unnecessarily greedy in putting more volume into the tank of aircraft without for more money in clear negligence of the aircraft safety and the safety of flying.
That is what is running through my mind, thinking the regulatory agency ought to have been proactive, and that's what some are saying. So is there an issue of negligence, or what really specifically, or we have to wait till after the investigations before we get to the root of this? Because the fear is still there. Nigerians are now looking, when they want to fly.
Well, I can assure you that there's nothing to worry about in terms of flying safety. Regulation is tough. If precautions are not being taken, and if others are not doing what they're supposed to do in terms of complying with their safety fueling procedure, obviously you would have been hearing of this more often than this is just the only case. I mean, since I entered into the industry, I haven't heard about it before now. So this is not just, it's unfortunate that it happened. But I can tell you also that NCA is proactive in their action. We're happy with what they have been doing. We're happy with their response to this. And we're also happy with the post-incident measures that are put in place. And for that reason, there's really no need for us to speculate at this point. We should wait for the outcome of the investigation. I have no doubt that the committee will do justice to that work, and then we will take other measures that have not been accommodated if in case there's any finding that may not have been factored in the recent measures that are put in place. Well, but the flying public has nothing to worry about.
Okay, good. Before we move into other discussions around the sector, of course, I just want to end talking about this contaminated fuel aspect of this conversation. We know major marketers will, bring in products, but I think there is an arrangement, a throughput arrangement, that is making it unclear for some aviation practitioners to know where the Jet A1 fuel is coming from, or how do we monitor where we get this product from? That will be my next question.
Right now, there is a new measure. There are vendors who are certified by an aspect of NNPC. They are supposed to be known and authorized. There's no doubt that we had always complained. I've said in this year's show, told them a couple of times, that some of them might not be operating in full compliance with the rules, and especially the economic aspect of it. Some of them may not also be meeting certain standard requirements. We've been complaining about that. And I also believe that it's the same team of vendors that have been racketeering this aviation fuel for the reason that we're paying so much, so beyond what should actually be the pump price of this thing. We've said that over and over again. And that has to do with huge interest that is being protected by the people around the NNPC. We're not afraid to say that. You know, that place has to be cleaned up. There's a whole lot of mess going around that. Every individual influential person there will want to have his own vendor who will have supply of fuel. Sometimes these fuels are even outside the authentic and responsible vendors. You see them all hanging around some other racketeers who, one way or the other, have gotten permits that may not necessarily be compliant in full, but they have protection because they have a Godfather interest in them. But thank God, this incident is a wake-up call. NCA has gotten involved and have taken it upon themselves to recertify each and every one of those vendors. The last time when we were in the meeting, there were about 30-something vendors that submitted themselves for recertification. As at that meeting, they had completed recertification of 11 and 21 were still pending. So it is expected that those that have been recertified by NCA should be going by the new rules. And then we are expected to buy only from those that have been recertified. I have no doubt that the other 20 obviously will pass the hurdle when they finish their own process. So it's a welcome development for us, and I hope that this will be a new beginning, because we want to, the cost of maintenance of aircraft is huge, and talk less of something that has to happen to engine out of carelessness or negligence. That will just be very, very, very big monumental.
Moving to other issues now, you just talked about cost of maintenance, and the issue of Forex comes to my mind. We've seen the opening up of that market now, the I&E window, and everywhere we are now getting, everybody gets at almost the same rate at the moment. Now, how has this affected operations of airline operators like you?
Tolo, we do not have any influence over the policy, the monetary policy of the government. We welcome the idea of merging the two windows. We don't have any problem with that. We started working with that projection. The only little discomfort and unfortunate thing we've experienced in the last 1 month was just the astronomical increase and inconsistency. If we could have a window, though determined by market forces, but operating within a corridor that is tolerable, plus minus 5% depreciation within a period of 1 year, 6 months, we don't have a problem. We only need to factor the rate into our operational costs and financial calculations. It's better to have a certain rate that is stable than not seeing money at all. What we had suffered worst in the last in the recent time was just non-availability. You default in your obligations, you lose your credibility, and you have your money stuck in the bank. Do you believe, Cholo, that since last year, there are many of us who had put up a bid with the CBN? And you know the rules are that before you bid, you must have your cash back in your account. Assuming you have bidded for $2 million US, $5 million US, as the case may be, then you commit Naira equivalent. And then you get a positive response from the bank that you have been successful, and then you are given a forward allocation. You could go to your bank to spot that allocation, but if the bank had spotted the allocation previously, and the bid was supposed to mature, the forward allocation was supposed to mature in September. So if they don't get that maturity fund from CBN in September, then they will decline to spot your allocation in August because they don't have the money in treasury to pay you. What happens to him? You don't now get Naira and you don't get dollar. With particular case to United Nigeria, we have billions of Naira stuck in the bank since August last year. As we speak today, we don't have Naira, we don't have dollar. We can't access our Naira, and with this new opening of the windows, we don't even know what next will be the fate of that rate. But the worst is that you made these applications based on your critical needs. If there are spare parts you need to be operational, you still have to look for money somewhere to go to the black market to buy those spare parts, because that you don't have it from the bank and your money is stopped, you must have to keep flying. So this is the issue. And now you see, with this merger of the windows, that the dollar has really gotten a whole lot of value over Naira. What it critically means is that your Naira assets has been devalued by 50%, and your wealth, you've lost wealth of 50% because you make our money in Naira. However, we are committed to this, our responsibility to national service. We can move on. We are moving on. The industry is being run by patriotic and passionate new breed operators, and we are sure we will overcome, but something needs to be done quickly and immediately.
That's something that needs to be done. I think we'll almost wrap up on that note. It's going to be a two-in-one question. What sort of minister do you expect for the aviation industry at this time? And what do you think should be his focus immediately he gets into office? The issue of Nigerian Air is still on the other side. So any updates with regards to that, and what are your expectations from whoever becomes the Minister of Aviation at this time?
Well, Tolu, I've always said that Nigeria Air is really not my headache. If they want Nigeria Air, they go ahead with it, but let them comply by the rules and regulation. That's the position of AON. It's not a personal position. That is what is best for the industry, best for the reputation of our regulatory authority, and then best for our reputation worldwide. That's our position. That's having been said, we want a minister, and more importantly, a government that will recognize aviation industry, commercial aviation, as a critical, essential sector, like agri, like any other thing. The whole thing now about the regulating of the PMS is because it fuels the automobiles. It is a means of transport. And just like aviation is another means of transport, it's as critical as going by road. It's either you go by air or you go by road. And we've said air travel is no more a thing for the rich. It is for everybody. Millions of Nigerians fly. And let me let you know, stop flying for 48 hours. Nothing will happen in this country. Your grand operation. The most critical effect of COVID-19 and that period was that people could not fly. If people were flying like during Ebola, there could have been a way of managing this. And so many countries in the world that understand it better immediately rushed to the aid of aviation industry in each of their countries before even considering any other social palliative to the citizens. America did it, the Western world did it. They pumped in billions of funds. We got nothing, Tolu. As we speak today, post-aviation support is almost nothing. The entire industry aviation ecosystem was given $4 billion. The entire aviation ecosystem, including the car hires, including the ground handling, the catering. And if you split it, many companies may not even have up to $50 million. And throughout that 12 months or more, we are paying salaries. We have to maintain your aircraft, whether they are flying or they are not flying. And even when that whole thing is over, you have to pay for proficiency of your crew, who must always be asserted. It was huge loss. We endured that. And then we expect that if this new government comes, realizing that this should be a very critical and essential sector, and that is a very strong source to increase our GDP and even foreign exchange earning. They need to look at how to support the operators to recapitalize. Our funds have been depleted, and we need them to provide special intervention for not money free. We don't want grant. We are business, private people. We don't want grant. We don't want free money. There must be funds that you can access as smooth as possible in a way that you can increase their capacity to operate. And then we also need them to stand strong to deal with most countries of the world that have not complied with their BASA agreement implementations. United Nigeria Airlines, for instance, now had met the threshold to fly regional and international. We've written to different agencies in Nigeria necessary to fly to the Western world, to fly to the region. You might not even get a reply from these countries 2-3 years to come. Meanwhile, they're coming to Nigeria. If they're able to support us to increase our capacity and then assess this BASA agreement benefit, we should be able to generate our funds foreign exchange. Look at how much money that that has been in the news that CBN has been owing foreign operators as on repatriation that they have not been able to do. As at the last time I checked, it was getting to $1 billion US. That's not the one unpaid. We don't know about the one that has been paid. I don't have the statistics. But you see, 95% of that fund is money spent by Nigerians. Because this is not like, we don't have a country like Dubai where people come on holidays or anything. They are Nigerian money. So there is a high tendency that if this money is being spent by Nigerians with the local operators who are flying to their destinations, who are capable of doing, we will have less to all these foreign operators. And more importantly, the cost of ticket could even be 50% cheaper because you should be paying mostly in Naira. So, and besides, when we increase our capacity, we increase our routes both domestically. 50% of the local airports today are not serviced because you need to expand the equipment, and funds are very expensive, And because of our not meeting our obligations to the creditors or the lessors, the national credit ranking has come really very low. So you are struggling with those who want to do business with you. They will say, yeah, we know you have integrity, you are credible, but your country credit rating is very low, so our system can allow us to go ahead with you. So the beautiful thing about this is that before the COVID, aviation sector in Nigeria was the third largest contributor to our Nigerian GDP. Every single ticket you hear anybody is paying for, government agencies of no less than 20 to 30 get their own deduction and cut there. So any money government invests in aviation is a win-win situation. We will increase our capacity, we will expand our services both locally and internationally. More people will be employed. Good aviation sector has good pay. It's not a poor paying sector. And then government will make not only their deductions in terms of percentages, but we are going to come back again to pay for taxes. So it's one of the most profitable areas government can invest. I can tell you that. So we're hoping that this government will understand that, will be more business-like, and make the operating environment very, very conducive. We have been very patriotic in our approach. We had gone through ups and downs. We've been bleeding. We've been absorbing some losses. But that's about the business. But the good thing is that we still believe in the viability of the aviation sector here. The growth has been very, very encouraging. We are the envy of the whole world. We have witnessed the fastest aviation growth worldwide in the last few years. So we're expecting a minister who is going to come in, understand this, and relate these things with the government, which is more important in this case to even understand, and because the minister individually cannot do much except what is able to pull out of the government.
Interesting one there. It's always interesting.
It's
always interesting talking to you, Professor Obiora Okonkwo, spokesperson of Airline Operators of Nigeria and chairman of United Airlines, Nigerian Airlines. Thank you so much for making sense of this topic, and do enjoy the rest of your day, Prof.
Thank you very much, Tolu. It's always nice to be with you. Keep up the good job.